Greetings, YouTube. Sporting my Space Invaders shirt today. I'm always happy that you folks can't see the cat hair. I've been thinking about how I do my reviews, specifically in role-playing games. I read a lot of role-playing games. I haven't actually had as much time lately as I wanted to. Life does that. I have a number in my queue that I need to get to. But I read a lot of them, and I don't actually review all of them. Some of the ones I review, people have sent me, and I read them, and I didn't like them, and I just can't bring myself to diss them. They were nice enough to send me a review copy, and I haven't gotten around to doing it, to really getting into it. And it could be just my view. It isn't necessarily that the game is bad. It could be politics or something like that. There's a lot of nonfiction books I don't read. I don't review as well. I get partway through them and they get tossed onto the recycling bin for the thrift shops. I just donate them, but they don't get reviewed either because it's just not worth my time. And I had someone make a comment about the Hackmaster book that I reviewed in January. Within this week, a number of true believers showed up. People that are hardcore Hackmaster fans, and they took umbrage at my view, and some of it was, to my mind, really quite amazing. And one of the things that they critiqued is that I hadn't done a diligent reading of the book. Now, I read the book diligently till I got to the point where the stupid overwhelmed me, after which point I just skimmed the rest of it, hoping that there might have been something I could have salvaged from the rest of the book that I liked. I did like a few things in the game, and I said that in my review. I made sure I wrote those notes down and made sure I said the positive things that I could find in the book. And I said, well, I guess I could have reviewed the book to the point where I had stopped reading it and then just stopped my review. But that seems incomplete. It doesn't seem like I would have been doing my job of a reviewer, because I think I did my job as a reviewer. Some of folks disagree. But also because I wouldn't have been able to express my full opinion, because I did get some more information from the rest of the book, even though I didn't read it word for word. So I guess I'm asking my subscribers, the people that listen to my reviews, if I don't finish a book completely, but I think I need to do a review in the case of Hackmaster, because I had received multiple requests from people over time to review that book, should I review it? Or should I just do a PSA and say, I couldn't finish it. I didn't like it. I can't review it. And then move on. I need to know what you folks think is the best policy. Now, I'm not necessarily going to follow the suggestions, but I would like to get some opinions on the topic. Another thing I found very humorous about the whole exchange with Hackmaster is that it seems that, I mentioned that it was based on the OGL, and it isn't. However, it is based on D&D. Without D&D, Hackmaster wouldn't exist. Then again, without D&D, Tunnels and Trolls wouldn't exist, Palladium Games wouldn't exist. There are any number of games out there that simply would not exist if it wasn't for D&D. All of those games, if you peel back the skin, have the bones of D&D in them. And Hackmaster has more than the bones of D&D in it. There are the organs, and then there are the tendons and the ligaments and the muscles of D&D in that game. There's a skin on top that doesn't say D&D, but the rest of it is D&D. So I found that kind of entertaining, which is when I pretty much walked away from the conversation. And so long as people aren't offensive, aren't attacking others, or making threats, that people can comment as much as they want. But I'm interested in hearing about what people have to say about my reviews, how I do them, and do you think I should complete a review of something that I couldn't bring myself to finish? Some of the ones I've done like that have been very well received because they were humorous, because I just thought they were so horrible that I had to get the word out to prevent people from spending money on them. And as much as it's going to upset the true believers of Hackmaster, Hackmaster 5 is one of those things I think that people should be warned not to spend their money on. It seems to appeal to a very specific type of person. Someone mentioned an engineer type of mind, and maybe that's true. Maybe it's the same folks that like Hero, which I can't. tolerate because it's too fiddly, too complex. There's too many things. And I'll admit that my hardcore love for D20 SRD is still there, but I will acknowledge that there are problems with it, and I will acknowledge that there are things about Pathfinder that I find too fiddly and too overwhelming. And there are times there are too many options. But still, I love the way the system runs, and I love the way it treats PCs, and I like the fact that it gives nice things to everybody at every level. I like those things. So, I've meandered a bit. I apologize. I guess there's a lot of this stuff in my head that it's kind of unpacking as I'm speaking. So tell me, what type of reviews do you want? Do I only review things that I have read from cover to cover that I like? Do I only review things that I've read cover to cover that I haven't liked? And that's going to be pretty small. If I really haven't liked something, I'm unlikely to read it from cover to cover. Such as Microscope. That pretentiousness on that game was just profound. Or Haven City of Violence, which I couldn't get past the introduction, which is still the most pretentious introduction. I have no idea if the rest of the game was as pretentious as the introduction was. That just crushed me with its pretentiousness, and I could go no further. So, tell me. I want your opinions. And I do know how people love to express their opinions